In this video, I'd like to outline a workflow for copying settings from one rig to another in a way that it will automatically update. So in order to illustrate this, I'll create a new top-level process. I'll call it source, and then I'll create two other processes. I'll call it person one and another process called person two. So one of the features of Vetala is the ability to, outside of the data in the code, be able to set options that make a process more accessible. So I'll go show options, and in the options here, I've turned on edit mode, and I can do add group, and I'll call this rig settings. And then in here, I will do add integer. I can say something like number of spine joints, and add number, or not number, cancel, move, add integer, number of neck joints. So these, I'm just building these to illustrate that we can add rig settings into this, and then that can then later be used inside the rig scripts to be able to change how the rig builds based on user input. So I could do something like bendy arm, and if bendy arm's on, then it would build the bendy arm, and if bendy arm's off, it wouldn't build the bendy arm. And I could add integer, nope, cancel, let's remove that, and I could add boolean and call it bendy leg, so then we have the option for the bendy leg as well. So I've taken the time to set up these options, and now I don't really want to have to recreate this for every other process that I create that is a human. So there's ways that I could duplicate this. I could go into here and I could do copy match, and I could copy match from the source onto person one, and I could paste this, and now person one has all the options from the source. But there's another way to do this that will automatically update. And so the way to do that is to use in the options here to do a reference group, or add reference group. So I'll just call this referenced options. And so in here, you have to give it a path to the process that you want to inherit from. So in this case, it's a hard-coded full path, and it's because your source could live anywhere on the network or on your drive, and this just makes it convenient to be able to pass it in. So if I go to here, all I have to do is go to source, hit browse, select this directory, go to person one, and I'll paste it. The one thing I need to be careful of is the slashes. Currently it doesn't support forward slashes, so I just switch it to backslashes. Or I get confused with these. I think that's this might actually be a forward slash, but it uses the same kind of slash that Linux does, not Windows. And then option group is an option to pull in just one of the groups. I'll show that in a second, but for now I'll just leave it at this. And here it's going to pull in the rig settings that we added to source. So if I hit edit, there they are. So there's my rig settings from source. So if I go here, these settings match exactly to these settings. Now the cool things with this is if I hit edit mode and I go and I do add option and I do add string, I could do something like body mesh. And I could call this body geo. So now with this set, if I go to person one, it's automatically going to get added here. So that's a nice feature of it. And so any kind of changes I make, I could even go here and add a new group. And I could call this asset settings or something, and then I could have like add string name, and then I could say it's character generic person, and so then in here I can like do like my asset settings, and here I can do my rig settings. If I go to person one, all of that stuff is being updated here. Now, once these only inherit the value when they first get created. So all this naming of everything, the naming of the attributes, how many attributes there are, what kinds of attributes, all of that gets updated on the fly. But the values end up being, once you change them, or even if you don't change them, once they get initialized once, they don't end up updating after that. So if I go here and I change this to 5 spine joints, and if I go to source and I change this to 5 spine joints, or sorry, if I change this one to 10 spine joints, and I go to person 1, it's still at 5 here. So the values aren't going to be updated, but if I go here to source and I do something like edit and I remove body mesh, and I turn off edit and go back to person 1, now body mesh is gone from here as well. So again, this is just a nice way to be able to get a bunch of settings that you want to have for your asset and then have it propagate to other processes. So in here, so what I was saying in here is that you can add option groups. So let's say I just want rig settings. So then I could say rig settings. And then if I turn off edit mode, I just have rig settings showing up here. If I turn back on edit mode and I say, oh no, I actually wanted asset settings. Asset settings. Now I just have asset settings updating in here. And then if I want everything from this source process, then again, I just set it back to an empty string, hit edit, and now everything is there from this source process. So this is a nice way to be able to propagate it. And let's show it again on person 2. So in person 2, I'm going to turn on edit mode, and I'm going to go to options, add reference group. I just name it the same as the other one, reference option. And then I can go here, copy this part, and paste it here. And hit edit. And now I have all these inherited options happening on person 2 as well. So let's try again to add something. So I can say add string, and I can call it type, and I can call it character. So then if I go to person, character is there, and person 1 character is there. So this is how I would add options or propagate options that I've taken the time to set up to multiple other options. And I thought this would be a nice little demonstration of a lesser known feature. So there's actually some other stuff in here that I could show. One of the things that I like to do is I like to break out this path so that it exists as its own attribute, so that it's easy to update that path. So in order to illustrate that, I'll just go here and do, I'll do edit add string, and then I'll call this reference path. And then I'll move reference path up so it sits at the top up here. And then I'll set the reference path to be this one. So there's my reference path. I'll get rid of the quotes. There's my reference path. And then to read that into here, I would do process dot get option, and then I would give it reference path. So now if I hit edit mode, it's now using this path up here to be able to set how it references. So if I were to create another process and call it maybe source 2, and then just give it maybe just some basic options. So let's give it, I'll add a group, and then I'll add a dictionary, and maybe add a couple things to the dictionary. And so now if I go to, let's do it on person 1 where we were setting this up. If I set this to source 2 and I turn off edit mode, now it's looking at source 2 in this reference path. So this is just a nice way to be able to make this path readily accessible, and then anybody trying to figure out where these options are coming from can just look here. So I think that's all I'll show for this video. Thanks for watching. One thing I should mention too is that you want to use the latest beta 0.5.0 to get this reference path workflow. So having this reference path outside is something that only works in the latest beta. And thank you for watching. Bye.